I think that in order to understand the potential benefits of music therapy and the power of music therapy as a allied healthcare profession, we can start by looking at the potential of music and what it means to have or play or be involved with music. So if we just look at music on its own, we immediately can start to notice that it is a constellation of potential interactions, potential ways of being, and potential actions and reactions that we can have. Just with listening immediately engages the person in a process, and we create relationships with music and sound just by being present and paying attention. By observing, we are involved and we become musical and we have a musical experience before we do anything that's expressive, or before we move, before we play, before we sing. We're already involved musically just by observing the music. We can feel vibrations in our body. We hear music and sounds and notes through our ears. And so music relates to awareness, and it gives us an opportunity to become more aware and more connected with our environment, which can be an important first step in engaging anyone in a therapeutic process. And then from there, responding to what we hear, responding in even our thoughts internally. When you have a thought about a sound or some music, you are engaged in that music just through that. But then we can imagine a physical response, even a look or a change in our respiration, or a change in the way we're sitting or we're holding ourselves, or movements. Responding through dance or movement can be incredibly powerful. That's a whole world in and of itself. It's just the responding to music. And then shaping that response, shaping and changing the way that we respond to the sounds that we hear, and making that our own experience, personalizing that. And you can think of a dancer doing some sort of improvised free dance, creating the world to be more of how you want to be in that world by responding to the music and co-creating an experience with it. And then from there, we can look at the physical acts of music making, from moving or dancing to playing instruments to singing songs, the physicality of breath, of action, of gross and fine motor skills, all of the things that are involved with acting physically in a musical experience are vast. There's a huge potential there. And then, of course, we have the cognitive aspects of music, which relate to music that happens both in the moment, what's happening in the moment, and what's happening over time, to remember things that happened before, or to know what's coming up next. Hugely engaging on the cognitive or intellectual level. And then, of course, through things like singing lyrics, writing lyrics, or singing lyrics that we enjoy, remembering songs, we have meaning. We have an emotional component that comes in through painting these pictures through music of times that we hold dear, or situations that are we find emotional through different lyrics. We have this whole emotional world that is waiting for us to be experienced in music. And that relates to, of course, a spiritual experience, because when we have motion, we create emotion, and motion and emotion relate to being moved, and the word spirit, of course, relates to the word breath. To be spirited is to be moved. So we have this physical, cognitive, emotional, spiritual constellation that is always available to us within a musical experience. And these can be, of course, individual. We can have our individual music experiences, which we always do have. And then on top of that, we've got a social component. And we know that creating strong social connections, having peer support, having the feeling of being held in some sort of social network is really important for quality of life. So there's that whole aspect of music as well. So music is creative, it's mathematical, it's very intellectual, cognitive, it's very expressive. It relates to physicality, to emotional and spiritual aspects of living. It can be artistic, it can be creative, and that all makes it meaningful. And when something is meaningful, it then becomes important to our quality of life. And when you look at music in that way, as this constellation of potentialities, you quickly realize that it has huge potential when placed within a therapeutic context. And so, music therapy is the leveraging and the use of all of those potentialities of music for all the things I just mentioned to help people become more how they want to be and to help people live more meaningful and richer lives.